Whitman, Dean of Southern Polytechnic College of Engineering and Engineering Technology on AI, technology, and innovation.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I'm really looking forward to this panel. You know, as the name implies, my job is tech, and I like tech. I enjoy everything about tech, and it's really cool when you get to be on a panel that you're excited to hear what each different perspective brings. And so what my intent is in this panel is I'm going to give a very brief biography of each person, just a little intro. And then I'm going to go let them say what they want to say about their history. I think it's interesting to hear their history from their perspective, a little bit of that, how they got involved in the AI field. And then also I have a couple of questions here I'm going to ask them specifically about some of the things that they have expertise in. And then I hope to leave time for you to give them really good questions to help us all learn how we can apply this to many different disciplines that are out there and standards at BSV Association, which is a nonprofit association focused on the development and adoption of the BSV blockchain. And then we have the third person over. We have Lucy Liu, who is the founder and CEO of aiLegal, which is an AI native immigration practice defining how high quality immigration services are delivered at scale. And then again, the typical phrase, last but not least, we have Mahmut Karakaya, who is program director here also at KSU on our Master of Science in Artificial Intelligence. He holds a PhD degree in computer engineering from the University of Tennessee and researches machine learning, security, biometrics, and medical data analysis. So now what I'd like to do is just go down the line here. And I know I'll start off with Connor. I got to know him a little bit last night. And so many fascinating things, but I'm asking maybe we can focus a little bit on I think really when I think of AI, which I think has been around a very long time in different fashions, I get concerned about what do people like and what do people don't like about it. A typical phrase is there's two kinds of people in this world, those whose jobs will be replaced by AI and those that will use AI to do their job better and sustain. And so I really think part of it is, do we believe things? We just saw a real estate agent. Did we believe her?
So the reason I work in the industry that I do is we're trying to attempt to solve the trust problem, especially over digital, whether it's digital commerce or data interchange. So I'll attempt not to use the word blockchain for everybody in here, but the idea here is we're moving into a world where everything is digital, right? So in our industry, what's really important is digital identity. Right now, most states in the United States do not have a digital identity program, but especially in the EU and other places around the world, digital identity is getting mandated. And how do you make something that's secure and trusted and useful, right? So for instance, one of the examples that I always give, it's very crazy, at least here in the United States, to prove that that you're over 21 to get into a bar. You hand over a physical license that has your address on it, date of birth, all sorts of personal identifying information. Well, how can we build, for instance, maybe a digital framework where I can prove that I am over 21 without revealing other facts or information about me? That's a big component of something like digital identity. And then we're going to move into a future world where, right now, if I perform a know your customer check, a KYC check for whether it's trading stocks, bonds, things like that, most of the time you have to take a picture on your webcam of your face. Sometimes you hold up your ID. That picture goes to some server and then it gets held somewhere. And that's a giant honeypot for things like cyber attacks and data.
I think, probably not everyone do the blockchain by the Bitcoin, but I think everyone do need an attorney. I think half in the legal industry. I want to mention is like right now due to the AI, will AI fundamental change the legal industry? Yes, I think it do. How to say that? I was thinking AI can increase the efficiency, can make like a more common routine task more easy to get it fixed, can deliver much faster. But if something linked to like, professional judgment, experience, you still need attorney here as well. And I think like also another thing is very important is like besides the level of the case, the complex level of the case, and another thing is very important, I think is like the AI company can deliver things fast. Maybe in the future also have like a super mega like AI company, they can do it. But the problem is like AI, they don't have moral, they don't have ethics. That's the reason why legal industry is different from other technology company. All of our attorney, we are licensed in a certain bar, and they have a detailed ethical rule can guide us what we can do, what we cannot do. And when something happens, and also all the attorney, we buy the malpractice insurance. But sometimes it's not only about the money. I believe in the future when AI company get bigger, they can also financially, they can compensate the people. But the problem is like AI do not carry the moral, they don't carry the ethic. But when a human being like we do carry our ethic, we carry our moral, we can make our judgment. I think this is kind of one fundamental like difference. Why like are you gonna see in the future AI lawyer? I don't think so, because like in the future still it will be like a human attorney still be the person go to the court. I do see AI will make like the baseline much higher, which means it's like maybe like a more common case like prepared like a will, maybe some very simple straightforward case can be delivered very fast. The reason is because with AI technology, the baseline will be much higher. But then come to another question will be, then what's the differentiate for the attorneys? Our thinking still will be like the attorney's experience, the personal intelligence, and also nothing. Thanks for God is like because we are attorney, all our information is confidential. All the products like subject to the attorney-client's privilege. That's reasons like AI will not be able to get our data, do more training, everything as well.
And so I think how you can get further advanced and really make this useful. And so I did give Dylan a little heads up on this because this is a difficult question. Is how do the people in the audience keep up and make themselves so they don't really get totally left behind? We're not all experts like the people here on the panel. What can we do to try to keep from being taken over?
Is this on yet? I don't know. Okay, we're good. Okay. So first of all, thank you for the question. I feel so honored to be here. This marks like a real moment in my life because I got started with my venture down this path of making terrible mistakes and not knowing what I didn't know as a boy. I was always a super curious child. And when I was 15, I actually traveled to Japan and lived there in Hyogo Prefecture. And I attended a school, and I was just completely on my own. I was really fortunate to have this opportunity. It was sponsored by the Panasonic Corporation. And that's where I started to learn really how much I didn't know about the world. This is my first time leaving the United States as a young boy in a small town in Japan. And the first big mistake I made, you don't even know what you don't know, is they asked me, what sport do you want to play? And I said, of course, volleyball. I come from Virginia Beach, I know beach volleyball, I can't wait to play volleyball. And they looked at me like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, that's the only one sport I know play. So the next day I show up to the all-girls volleyball team. And just picture this in your mind, right? I'm 5'8", the only man on the playing court, and everyone's looking at me like I am crazy. People who are watching the game, people who are playing the game, and I was the worst player. Okay, height didn't matter, I had basically no skill, right? But this is just an example of how you can just completely bumble into something. You don't know what you don't know, right? And I was thinking, well, I don't know how good they are as a team, so I don't know which position they'll have me play, because that's how you collect information. So I'm a big proponent of failing fast, right? I don't want to fail in this long drawn out period, right? So, is novel about the current moment we're in with AI is that we now have these fuzzy operators that allow us to interact with systems even when the information's incomplete or the context is incomplete or the messages are incorrect. You can talk to these systems and have typos or miss words or make mistakes, and it still kind of gets what you mean, just like talking to humans, right? And this opens up new doors, right? Now you have someone who's not a sushi chef who can make rice that's fresh and tastes good, even though they don't know how to make it. And we're in this moment now where people can make mistakes and be steered back on the right path with these kind of fuzzy operators and fuzzy machines. So that's what I really would just like to say, to be, succinct here at the end. I love making mistakes. I love failing fast. That's how I got to where I'm at now. And if you are kind of in the mode of I want to consume information and I want to learn and know about what I don't even know I don't know about, the best way to do that is to put yourself in a position to make mistakes.
Everybody just using it. Possibly you have all those chatbots and you're using it. Even like real estate agents, they're just becoming kind of the AI generated. So at KSU, we just come with the MS in AI program. It's been like 2 years, and for the first year, our success we put it as like 30 students at the end of the the year, and then guess how much we got? More than 100. So we are just getting to the many students, applicants. They are excited about the AI. So in our the AI program, when we just building up, we asked the question, who is our target? I mean, so do we want to just teach AI to computer scientists, or do we want to go ahead and then make it kind of available for everyone? And the answer is the second one, because everybody wants to use the AI. So we just design the program, and more than half of our students is non-computing backgrounds. There are many, and then you can just do the task in more than whatever the maybe 10% of the time you have to spend. Like for myself, I was just working on one research project, and I need to just go ahead and then collect data by using those oximeters, and then it just hook up to the computer. And then I was just thinking, okay, I need to just read all the information coming from USB. How can I do that? And I said, why do I have to worry about it?
So maybe if you could describe a little bit about blockchain to put everyone on the same playing field, and then there was some application of that with digital payments, and talk about how that works. I think some of the things that we don't really know is going on with blockchain and AI and digital payments.
Yeah, so I'll take the impossible task of trying to explain blockchain in 30 seconds. But essentially, throughout all of history, if Alice paid Bob, or Alice gave something to Bob, she had a record that she gave something. Bob had a record that he received something. And then they both had to, if there was ever disagreement that Alice gave Bob something, they had to argue about it, right? She'd say, well, I have this record, he said, I have this record. Well, now for the first time in human history, we have a trustless third entry. So we call this triple entry accounting. So Alice and Bob can put a receipt on this third entry ledger that is immutable, it's distributed, so no single person controls it. And what that means is that Alice and Bob can now trust that, and the rest of the world looking in can trust that that payment or that transaction between Alice and Bob occurred. So that's really useful for things like payments and settlement of payments, but it also means that we can use it for data transfer, right? So, or proving that something existed at some certain point in time. So, for instance, if you create a legal document, let's say a document is signed and you have a digital copy of it, you can take a hash of that document and timestamp it onto a blockchain, for instance, and you can always point to that record that's not under the single control of anybody. It can't be altered, and so there's no dispute that that thing occurred. You can interact with another AI agent paying per request, whether that's a request for an API search or something like that, and they can use micropayments to do that commerce. And what we want to start doing is building, the internet has had no native economic system built into it, and especially with AI agents where they're interacting on a per request basis, we can natively bake payments into that. And that's what we're hoping to help. And that's why we work on blockchain for payments, but also there's an entire use case for data integrity as well.
Thank you very much for that. So I'm going to now ask the final question that they don't even know this one's coming, so it'll be a real fun one. But I want all of you get to answer this one. But after that, I'm going to take questions from the audience. So start thinking about your question coming back here. But so, where do you see the future of AI? Where do you see that? And Dylan, I know you want to start us off, so go ahead.
Okay, is this mic working again? Okay, cool. So I want us to all think about what it feels like when we're in the passenger seat of a car and that car is kind of like merging onto the highway. You feel that kind of pushback in the, that's like the acceleration feel in the car. Now, part of that is because you're speeding up. But the acceleration I want to kind of talk to everyone about has to do with if you're going 100 kilometers per hour or 60 miles per hour and you decide to make a fast turn. Ask this question of like, what's happening longer term? We are at a moment where we're about to take a very fast turn without trying to slow down the car. And some organizations are going to be able to absorb that force of acceleration and some are not ready at all because their pattern at work and in their organizations is, okay, let's decelerate, let's slow way down so we can take this turn carefully.
If we talk about one car go to the highway, it's really, my way I see is AI is the driver. We are human beings, we're the passenger. So then really come to the question is, what's the goal of this car? Is the car the goal is drive as fast as possible? Or the goal is more about, hey, you need to drive fast, but under the condition you need to be safe. You make sure don't hit other people. The AI will be definitely great, but end of the day is really like, I think soon. I think right now because technology is so advanced, law is always backlog. Law is always cope with try to catch up everything as well. I think right now, even we talk about legislation, the Congress, everything as well still behind, has not go quick enough. But for us as a passenger, it's always like, I think our goal and the AI goal certainly is conflict with each other. AI maybe is thinking, I just want to go as fast as possible. But we as a human being, we do need some ethic. We do need like some safety standard, everything as well.
Comment about the future?
Yeah, I mean, so it's working or not, but so for the the AI in the future, it looks like it's coming really fast for some of the industries. For some of the the industries, they can be just the slowing down for that, but it will affect the all aspects of the life. I mean, so everybody just start using it. Companies will be just the start. Some of them already started, but it will be kind of becoming accelerated way for the AI because we have kind of a critical mass for the data. So since we are just using computers, we already collected all those informations. So it's kind of the easier to just feed it into the the AI. The models can go ahead and then learn much more the faster, and then we are just getting the faster and faster in the computer. So it looks like it will not be slowed down. It will be kind of possibly follow our pace, and then I think the question is, do we really need to rush to start using the AI, or do we have to just think about, check all those the outcomes one by one and go to the next level? Otherwise, it will be kind of we will just say, okay, for this company, I'm just go ahead and then use AI agents and I'm fighting everyone, and then you just lost all the history and everything, all the employees gone, and then at one point AI is not generating what you are looking for, and then you lost all the employees, and then you cannot go ahead and then get them back. But it's not optional. Everybody will just go ahead and then use the AI, but they have to to decide their timeline for the AI.
Yeah, that you see in the news now, like companies are cutting workforce because of AI, trying to maintain their status quo of output, as opposed to thinking more innovatively of, let's take my existing workforce and augment it with AI, and how can we be better competitors? And I think that mindset, I think like you just mentioned, I think a lot of companies are going to look back and say, oh wow, we fired a lot of good people that could have been augmented with this technology, because they're kind of operating this scared mindset. And I think it'd be better to have a more optimistic, innovative mindset with this technology, because it's one of the greatest tools that, like, I wish I was 17 again right now. It's like one of the most amazing things for every individual to empower themselves with. So, yeah.
Heavy into AI. We hired like an AI strategist, but I wanted to ask, with companies adopting a lot of AI strategies, what will separate the companies that succeed and the ones that get left behind?
But at the end of the day, still people need to be the person. People need to be the user. People need to be the consumer here as well. So my strategy is really in the legal industry is, I see the AI for us will be a tool. We'll make sure the work can deliver in high efficiency, in good quality, with a certain weekends to do the scalability. But we were going to change our legal professions like a mentality, change the way how the legal industry should be delivered, which means it's like a traditional way that a lot of legal professionals will be sitting back end. They don't pick up a client's phone call, attorney don't want to talk to the clients from back end to do the legal motion, everything as well. But right now, which means those legal professionals has to change their mentality, because the major job will be use their legal knowledge, do a good explanation to clients, so clients get more access to the legal professional. They can get like a better value of the legal service. And also in the meanwhile, it's like so tradition like all the way legal attorney only sitting back doing the work. I think this will be gone. And that's the reason I'm gonna say you're gonna change your internal legal professional mentality, and also really change the way how legal industry is going to restructure the whole process, how the legal service should be delivered.
AI may have some piece inside of that value chain, but you can't really advertise quality, because your customers, they're the judge of whether quality's there, right? So you could put a banner on your product or your experience saying this is high quality, but that's not up to you to say, right? And that's in the customer experience. So I think that the companies that will win out in the market in this very disrupting era will actually focus on that quality of experience and process throughout the entire organization, in the customer experience and the developer experience. And one of the things that's, I think, criminally underrated here, this is also something that my colleague Connor brought up, is that we're entering an era where agents are going to be a new form of customer, and things like X402 facilitate that.
Who has typed a question into ChatGPT and never gotten an answer? Yeah, okay, so one person, so that should be a great warning to all of us.
Deliver value to at least one customer, but probably a million customers, it's solved that problem.
Students about AI. So how do we keep the connection with people while still integrating AI into your business? Like having AI responders instead of real people, or for example, for students right now, we are told to use AI to make our resumes better. We have a class that we have to take on that, because our resumes are being processed through AI machines and use keywords. So what can make us stand out in this new AI-driven world?